Hello and welcome to 21st Century Saints podcast and live stream series. It's great to be back with you all. It's been quite a while, and the gang have very much needed a break. Um, this evening's episode we've entitled The Noble and Great Ones, and we're going to start off with some things that we've been thinking about over the Christmas holidays, and hopefully do something interesting with it. So it's going to be a shorter episode than we normally do. But hopefully you guys will find some value in it. Now we want to begin. I feel like I've forgotten how to podcast because it's been so long. I have no idea which buttons I'm pressing, so I know that you all will be patient and bear with me, especially as in this episode I'm flying solo. The rest of the gang are still on their much needed break, but are working extremely hard behind the scenes. So much is happening. In our next episode over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about what's really going on behind the scenes with DBS checks, criminal background checks here in the United Kingdom. Is it all grinding to a halt? Are we seeing problems? Well, we're going to spill all about it, everything that you need to know very, very shortly. So we're excited for you to join us. In the meantime, I wanted to share with you something that had come up in the run up to the festive season. Now, I didn't see this myself because when email comes through from church, from the church news and things like that, I think like most of us, we don't all really sit and read it with a fine tooth comb, unless you're someone like Peter Bleakley, you know, who we would expect that from. But in this particular email that I was contacted about, I've had a chat with a good friend about. I'm really excited to share this with you because I have thoughts, and I feel that you will have very similar thoughts. So I'm going to attempt to share the screen. Now, if this doesn't work, I know that you will be that you will all be patient with me because I will read it to you. For our podcast viewers, you will get to see what's going on. Now, hopefully this want to know. Here's what I'd love to know from my audience. Did you? Oh, okay. So I'm seeing that we have no audio. Right. Okay. This is hopefully it's back. Can y'all give me a shout in the chat if the audio is back or if we're still having some problems? It would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to hold on to to see, because I'm guessing as I shared the screen, we lost it. Okay. So in essence, assuming that we can just continue as normal, let me just see. I'm so sorry. Oh, okay, yeah, thank goodness everyone can hear me now. So just to reiterate, okay, what we have there is and we'll post the link in the show notes. I think the sound must have dropped out when I shared screen. What we had there was an article talking about this actually really wonderful sounding, incredible event, which is ambassadorial. Lots of diplomats have been invited to this event. It has had exceptional performers. It has its own artwork. This is a very luxurious sounding event, a very prestigious sounding event. With titled people and their consorts, to quote one of the guests. A business executive was quoted as having thoroughly enjoyed the experience. And finally, we get to this part at the end, which is just completely bizarre to me. This part at the end. I'm just gonna quote this. The Love's Pure Light event was organised by Elder Don Stapley and Sister Kathy Stapley, diplomatic outreach representatives for the Church of Jesus Christ in London, with Malcolm Addock, Director of International and Public Affairs in the London office. Now, friends, did you know we have a diplomatic outreach representatives? Do we? Is that a mission thing? Is this some calling that I have? And also for a church, is it a normal thing to have diplomatic outreach? Well, my friend thought not, because when she read this, it was extremely troubling to her. And she decided that she would pen a response just for her own thoughts. And she had said that if I'd like to share this, I would be more than welcome. And actually, I just want to share the whole thing. My friend said, I opened an email a few moments ago, one I usually ignore from church newsroom, and it just massively deflated me. I'm sure its intention was to boost good news, good feelings, and to show the high level of respect the church enjoys internationally and at government level, and the high quality, talented, beautiful things church can do. It had the opposite effect on me. It showed power, influence, glamour, all things shiny and useless. I'm sure it helps foster relationships, to open up missions and build temples, to get relationships that can influence policy, law, decision makers. To me, it spoke volumes about how the church uses its influence to reinforce its message of greatness, its subtle manipulation and control of members by parading its power and glory before the world. Look at how you are part of something all-powerful. The unspoken words of, look at all we command, all we influence, just so apparent. It hit me just how members seeing, reading, hearing this must be led to assume that such greatness only comes to a church with God at its head, and doubles down on one true church life, and how walking away from it equals no longer special. The look at me boast disgusts me. It showed a church more concerned with looking great than being humble, as Christ was in his ministry. Why does this matter more to the church leadership? This promotion of influence matters more than honesty and repentance over abuse. Why seek to boast of power, but seek to avoid transparency on people's pain? Let me just read that again. Why seek to boast of power, but seek to avoid transparency on people's pain? Can we just see some honest, raw emotion on real things that matter? This just added to another strand to my why on earth do I stay thinking. I had been pondering going to church. I don't want to be part of that. If this is the crap that matters so much to church, the message of greatness, then I'm so far out of church, out of touch and alignment, it's untrue. We've got our Mormon Freedom Fairy, and can I just say also thank you so much to our audience who are so supportive while I'm flailing and trying to get the audio working again. I really appreciate you all letting me know what's happening in the comments there. You're a huge help, and so thank you so much for being my co-pilots tonight. But yeah, Mormon Freedom Fairy, and she's pointing out that this is the big and spacious building-esque. And yeah, because when we were having a conversation about this, that was very much what I was being reminded of, the imagery that we used to be taught about, that we are still taught about in the scriptures. Now, I want to go to when it cycles through and come follow me when we get to Old Testament season. When we, if you will bear with me, if you will forgive me for a moment. I don't normally read scriptures on this channel, but I'm going to tonight because I want us to think about what the church may be thinking when it does this, because I totally agree with my colleague that this is probably, you know, a feel-good thing. Look, that we are making friends, that we that we are seen well, that people like us, that we like other people, and that we have good relationships. And that isn't how it's not how it feels, not in the week that was running up to Christmas, when we are being encouraged to think about themes of humility and poverty, and we're being asked almost, I think often in church, eschew luxury and partying and really focus on what is this really supposed to mean. It doesn't sit right, and so I want to share from the book of Abraham, which actually I find a lot of value in this book, and you know, we can, you know, aside from its problematic origins, things like this I find really interesting. Abraham is talking to the Lord face to face, and he tells us in the voice of Abraham, and he said unto me, my son, and his hand was stretched out. Behold, I will show you all these. And he put his hand upon mine eyes, and I saw those things which his hands had made, which were many, and they multiplied before mine eyes, and I could not see the end thereof. Now the Lord had shown unto me, Abraham, the intelligences that were organized before the world was, and among these were many of the noble and great ones. And God saw these souls, that they were good, and he stood in the midst of them, and he said, these I will make my rulers. For he stood among those that were spirits, and he saw that they were good. And he said unto me, Abraham, thou art one of them. Thou was chosen before thou wast born. Oh, don't we love the King James English? No, we do not. Yes. How many times have we been asked when we participated in Sunday school discussions about that exact thing? So who are the noble and great ones? And we tend to hear the expected answers as that, oh, these are the prophets, these are the people who we recorded in the scriptures, the people like Abraham. And you know, having read that article, I want to ask the people who were organizing it, who was on, why did you choose the people that you chose for that guest list? why did their titles mean a lot? Why did their roles mean a lot? Now, I love the fact that representatives from charities and other faith sectors were there. That is superb. But I'm struggling to understand why ambassadorial events in this way are even a thing, because what it looks like is that the church is seeing the noble and great ones, the prestigious people, the people that we want to lobby governments on our behalf to ensure religious freedom. I find these things actually extremely offensive. I don't think they are real or meaningful, and that we can show forth a face of indulgence like that. Now, maybe I'm just being super naive. I probably am. I mean, rich and powerful people not allowed to have friends. But when that's your target market, now what was that? What's that title? Diplomatic outreach representatives. Yeah, I can see it. I can see the need for diplomatic work, but when it comes to a celebration, here's I think what I'm struggling with. Who are the people who should have been on that list? Who would you have invited? And this is what's bringing me back to in the who is the Lord talking about when he's talking to Abraham in this story? Who does God see as the noble and great ones? Because I really think that if we were to be having a conversation with the person, the being that we worship as God, with the being that we reverence as Jesus Christ, those were not the people that they were hanging around with. They were a job to be done, or people to be met with, but certainly they were not the noble and great ones. The noble and great ones to us, I think we all have a shared feeling of who those people are. And most of those people, let's face it, they don't have titles, they don't have podcasts. You're never gonna hear about them. Now, I want to take this opportunity, now that I've said my piece about that, to tell you our views about the noble and great ones. And I'm hopeful that we have a guest, and if he wants to come on in a few minutes after I present to you with this final offering, he might have something that he wants to add. So we'll see how this unfolds. In the United Kingdom, we have a tradition at the beginning of every year, or the king does. I don't know, Parliament. It's a thing. We have the New Year's honours list, where people from all walks of life are honoured for their contributions in public life. And as I was thinking about who the church appears to be catering for here in this luxurious, indulgent event, and who they say is the noble and great ones, as we've seen people from all walks of life. I even someone locally who has been involved in running a charity which supports survivors of childhood sexual abuse, and another colleague who has been doing incredible work organising comic cons to do fantastic work for children. They have been honoured in the New Year's honours list, ordinary people. And I think that is so much more in the spirit of what the Lord is showing Abraham in that scripture. I think they are the noble and great ones. As 21st century saints, on behalf of the gang here, we are very aware that the list of people that we would call noble and great is very, very long. We have had the privilege of working with a lot of incredible people. And I'm going to, I haven't checked with anyone that this is okay at all, but I'm going to read out that list that we have. So we want to honour this year, and there will be more to come, because halfway through the year there's also a birthday honours list. So we're going to do this again halfway through the year. Again, not an exhaustive list, but there are some people that we want to particularly reference, people who have perhaps been overlooked or vulnerable, but have contributed a lot to us and to the work that we all engage with in this space. So I want to honour Valerie Nicole Green, Kyle Ashworth, Analysing Mormonism, David Shepherd, Laura and Julian Heath, for the incredible work they've done with Sunstone. You've really created a family, Heaths, and we appreciate you very much in this space. Renee Steelman, a kindred spirit. Grace Poole, our 21st century saint, superstar and queen, Sarah Delaney. Doug Vincent, you really are our guy in the chair and we love you. The At Last She Said It podcast. Martine Derek Smith. David Eaton. We want to especially honour the survivors that we have worked with in 21st Century Saints. And although this is very anonymous, please know that individually we honour and remember you and the work that you do. We also want to honour John Hamer, Michael Clark, Deborah Edwards, Debbie Shrub, Jean Bodie, Richard James, Colby and Cammy Reddish, the Protect the Children team, the Floodlit team, Joan Galloway, and Mary Davidson. Now, like I say, this list that we have is much more extensive, but there's one final name that we especially want to remember. Now, I am just going to grab this, and for those of you who can't see, this is actually an award that was given. It bears the name of my mother-in-law, Margaret Christie. When I was a child, just 16 years old, I met her son. I had nowhere to live, and she took me in and provided me with a home, supported me and encouraged me as a mother. This woman spent her entire life caring for other people physically and took such pleasure and pride in connecting with the people that she worked with. Some people have to go to church every week to be reminded how to be Christian. I'm being one of those people. I need a lot of help. It came so naturally to her. She would perform these acts of service and be a real example of something that we have to study every week to remind ourselves. We are handed values that she seems to have been born with and which she cultivated in herself. Now, Margaret Christie, my late mother-in-law, we have this. She was gifted this in her retirement, and we have this. She, when she was in hospital, when she had some difficulties with her heart, unsurprisingly, this incredible woman had gotten out of bed, despite being extremely vulnerable herself, had gotten out of bed because another patient had said she was thirsty. And she gets out of bed to go and get someone a drink of water across the room. And in that action is when she died. And what a beautiful, beautiful testament to how she lived. I can't think of another type of way to remember someone because, as I say, this is very meaningful in our family, and I think a lot about what that woman taught me. So tonight, what we would like to do is to remember most particularly someone who we've never spoken with in the show, we've never spoken with in detail about their work, but we would like to let our audience know that in Shirley Bleakley's memory, we have ordered one of these, which is currently being engraved with her name. This is what we intend to do as an award which will bear her name in the future. She is the first recipient of the 21st Century Saints Person of the Year Award. Shirley Bleakley is the mother of Peter Bleakley, and she passed away in 2023. Now, if Peter would like to come on and say a few words, he is more than welcome to, but her legacy is something that we've invited Peter to speak about in a future show, which he's agreed that he would love to do. Shirley Bleakley's legacy has impacted us so greatly as 21st Century Saints, not only because she has raised a feminist, warrior, thinking, radical, faithful, loyal son and other children, a family who honour her memory. She's created ripples which have echoed through Mormonism and throughout the world. Without this woman's work, without the ground that she prepared in raising her son, we would not have safeguarding in the UK as it looks today. She, as she lived, had no idea at the time that that's what her legacy was. And I think it's absolutely right that as we go through future years and as we want to honour people in the future, that this is an award that's going to bear her name. So recipients in the future, our Person of the Year will receive the Shirley Bleakley Memorial Award. And we're just really thankful that we can present it today in her honour. So just what I'll do is ask for thumbs up. Peter, are you comfortable to come on and accept this, or would you rather? Yeah, he's going to come on. We don't want to put any pressure on him. Hi, Peter. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yeah, we
That's amazing. Thank you. It was a surprise. Sorry, my camera's a bit rubbish. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you great. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you. That's really powerful. So maybe to give a bit of background with Mum, and it's not just her, it's a whole lot of people, particularly women who've worked hard in this field. Mum started off as an art teacher career-wise, went to Brigham Young University soon after joining the church, got married, had me, came back and raised a family and was kind of full-time mum while we were children. But she was always very proactive in politics and in sort of social issues. She joined the Women's Institute. She was involved in political pressure groups. And she served a lot as a stake primary and relief society president and area public affairs and kind of a lot of state roles, and returned to art teaching. But then she trained as a Relate counsellor. Relate is the British charity for working with people in relationships. And then she started to segue into doing work for the church for family services and being one of the several, awesome counsellors who bishops and stake presidents can refer people to for professional counselling. But throughout, in her way, she was constantly teaching and encouraging women to value themselves, to have a sense of their worth, that they're equal to the men. She had a lot of private frustrations with dealing with the patriarchy, with untrained amateur men often harming women in quite profound ways because they were winging it and thinking their own ideas, revelations from God, the usual dynamic that we all live with. So in her way, she advocated for women. She offered comfort to those having difficult times. She challenged priesthood leaders. She worked with them collaboratively. But I think what's happened a lot since she passed away is we've had so many people kind of come out of the woodwork and talk about how she was kind of an iconic example for them, because she like we saw her kneeling on the kitchen floor feeding clothes into the washing machine and having a habdab at the kids all screaming and all of that. But the second she stepped foot out the door, it was glamour. She was dressed to the nines, putting on a very confident professional sort of persona, which was based upon a lot of hard work behind the scenes and stressing out and migraines and everything. So she works really hard to be that kind of a role model in a way, to so that when she went into any situation with male leaders, she would be respected as an equal, wasn't having any nonsense. Um, and so many people have, including some of the men, priesthood leaders she works with, really paid tribute to her this year, for how she kind of inspired them or showed them what could be, and was a voice for that. And in and privately, we had a lot of conversations about the situation in the church, the issues. We had family members who became very disillusioned with the church quite early on in the 80s. Um, so extended family, particularly over the church's mishandling of abuse cases. So that was a very early introduction for me and for us to that being a real issue within the church. And in her counseling and therapy, which was private, I don't know the details of what she was dealing with, but we know enough that she was dealing with situations, and some of the people she counseled who have spoken to me were getting great support from her in how to cope with the aftermath of all of that. Um, so that's a really sweet and kind thing for you to do. Thank you. It's a real honor to my family and to her, and a great way to remember her. And I guess what I want the important thing to be from that is Mum was someone who wasn't particularly high profile necessarily, but she stood where she was, whether it was as a mother being a homemaker, um, an empty nester with more time and freedom to develop herself, as someone who would go for something, do the next bit of training, to take the next leadership role in a local charity or in a national organization or whatever. I think her inspiration in 21 was, you can do it too. You don't have to be born into privilege. You don't have to be anyone other than a member of your ward or your stake. And you find the place where you can make the difference, that you can fight your battle, if it with your local leaders, train your patriarchy, train the men to think of women differently, or to be more conscious of the power that they have in that dynamic. Um, and in doing that, you do change a significant part of the world, and it leads other people to be able to feel that confidence. And I'm absolutely a product of, my parents. I think my dad's very much always about being principled and doing the right thing, and that the church should practice what it preaches in his own way. Mum being willing to be a bit more confrontational, outspoken. It's just different personalities. Um, but still, respectfully and very much from a faithful perspective and a loyal perspective to the church. Um, and I think what I learned from her was that, apart from, the individual can make a difference, and we can do it here. We can do the show now. We will make a public display thing that we will create a newsletter that we send to local political and church leaders. We'll reach out and build those bridges. And she created a sort of monthly, I think, newsletter called The Bridge, which was for that purpose. So I got trained as a teenager to write some articles for The Bridge for the next thing going out, with some other members of our ward and priesthood leaders helping. So it was just natural and normal in our family that if there's something that needs doing or fixing, you step up and you do it. You can do it. Why not? Use the resources available to you, be the voice, because you can influence the world for good. Um, so I think that is what I got from her, and what certainly empowered me to take the steps I've done and to become a podcaster now, using the technology we have today. Um, yeah, sorry, I'm waffling, but
No,
that's
not at
really
all.
me.
Yeah, all of this is exactly what,
Mhm.
because you have brought those messages to us.
Mhm.
Peter has had his feminist awakening from childhood, and I've just really
Mm.
appreciated that. So she's affected us all.
Let's see this. Lynn wants me to cry. She's like, "If you can't cry about this, when?" You know? But because
Yeah,
I'm a
we'll
robot,
get
but
you
it's not
sometime.
happening. I'm sorry. I'm
Right,
really happy. That's
2024
a lovely thing.
is the
It's
year it
not working,
happens.
darling.
If we
Sorry.
can get Nemo and
Yeah.
Peter crying in 2024, then our work will be done. We can retire.
There's
Um,
no
so
chance.
thank you so much to our audience for being with us. We are delighted. This is currently getting the Shirley Bleakley Award is currently being engraved
Woo!
with her name and will be with you in the next couple of weeks. So we're really
Oh, that's
excited to get
lovely.
that to you. And to all of our
Thank
audience,
you.
we know that you encounter the noble and great ones. We know that you are the noble and
Oh,
great ones. We are so thankful for this space and for the community that you have built. And we're thankful for your support and all that you do. No, we're going to publish this list and make sure that that people get that you do get to see. If we're giving you a shout out, just know how much we appreciate you and love you. And I would guess we'll be doing another one in 6 months. So with that, have a wonderful
it's
evening.
a brilliant idea. I love it.
I'm
Very
so
good
glad
idea.
you do. Well, see, now we have a
We need to
committee
celebrate
member
our
that we're going to have
heroes.
to run through.
Yeah.
We'll have to run nominees past the Bleakleys now.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and we bless your journeys. Have a wonderful 2024.